Welcome to Central Educational Center's 25th anniversary celebration. This unique joint venture connecting business, the Coweta County School System, and West Georgia Technical College has relied on each of you who've had a role in the first 25 years, and we're grateful. My name is Mark Whitlock. I'm the CEO of CEC and the Director of Public Policy for the Coweta County School System. Many thanks to the Noonan-Coweta Chamber of Commerce for organizing and developing this event. Thank you, Candace. Thanks to West Georgia Technical College for their collaboration with the Chamber to make this event a reality. Thank you, Julie. Thanks to the CEC audio-video team for recording and live streaming this event. Thanks to CEC faculty and staff, now and in the past, who truly make this a remarkable place to study and to work. All of this, all of CEC, was designed to yield a unique outcome for our team members, our students, an outcome that would lead to career success. I hope that you watched the video of 4 of those students, each involved in both dual enrollment and work-based learning as you entered the lobby. Skylar Nicholson Bandely, now social media editor for the Wall Street Journal, graduated about a decade ago. Rico Lane, a recent grad, is on his way to his dream to become a dentist. Bryce Oswalt, a recent grad, is now 19 in his second year at Delta Airlines. Bryce, the youngest machinist we are told ever hired at Delta, makes sure that multi-million-dollar aircraft parts are ready when you are. And Toby Hughes, IT entrepreneur. Toby, would you stand up? Are you here in the crowd? Toby flew in today from Dallas, Texas. Toby, thank you. Toby has started his 3rd company at last count that I had, Toby, and he's used his new knowledge from MIT's AI executive program to help physicians make their practices more efficient and effective. While each of these on the stage deserve much more than a brief introduction, it's my pleasure to briefly introduce them. I'm going to introduce them in the order in which each will present. Greg Wright represents the economic development community in his role as a CEC board member and in his work with Coweta Fayette EMC. As chamber exec at the time of the planning and start of CEC, Greg represents the engagement of an incredible local business community. That business community saw education as a partner in the challenges of a new economy. It's fitting that Greg was a part of the original CEC steering committee and that he's now a part of an outstanding CEC board of directors. Leah Sumner represents the engagement of volunteers, business leaders, nonprofit corporations who've always stepped up to assist CEC. Leah, like so many other leaders, saw the CEC initiative as a part of the quality of life work that we all should be doing. The spirit of Leah's hard work was encompassed in that sign on the front lawn before Governor Barnes' remarks 25 years ago that proclaimed to our community the future starts here. Leah knew how to mobilize local citizens to support the creation of CEC. It's fitting that she was a member of the original steering committee and remains an innovative leader in our community. Help me welcome, if you would, the 80th Governor of Georgia. It was Governor Roy Barnes who told us that he wanted to see this being done across Georgia. It was Governor Barnes who saw the opportunity to help our community create a model project that now, through a formal replication process, serves over 45,000 Georgia students each year. Leah will introduce Governor Barnes in a few moments. Governor Barnes, 25 years ago when you spoke to us all you remarked to Toby Hughes that you hoped CEC would provide something very unique for his senior year of high school, something that would launch his career. We brought Toby back today so that you too can update 25 years later. Governor Barnes, I think you're going to be proud of Toby. State Representative Lynn Smith represents the engagement of our legislative delegation and of our legislature in policy work that supports students, parents, school districts, technical colleges, state agencies like the Technical College System of Georgia and the State Department of Education, who can all work together to make Georgia the top state for talent. Her work includes support for educational innovations unique to Coweta County, among them CEC, the Coweta campus of West Georgia Technical College, and the University of West Georgia Noonan campus. Candace Boothby leads our chamber and has ensured that our chamber takes its leadership role in support of a great CEC Board of Directors. The majority of those Board of Directors come from our business community. Candace has led our chamber to reacquire and maintain 5-star accreditation and to become, Candace, the first chamber in Georgia to be named a National Chamber of the Year. Candace is a leader nationally in the Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives. Dr. Evan Horton represents Coweta County superintendents, himself and his predecessors, who've had the courage to listen to local business and work with outstanding boards of education with great local K-12 educators to create something very new in Coweta County and in Georgia. Thank you, Dr. Horton and Board of Education, for the $22.7 million expansion and renovation about to kick off here at CEC. Dr. Horton represents all those K-12 educators on the CEC staff and throughout the district who ensure that students have the opportunity to take the greatest advantage of CEC. Among other firsts, Dr. Horton has helped to ensure that Coweta County's CEC leads the state in its new focus on the Accelerated Career Diploma Program. Dr. Julie Post represents West Georgia Technical College presidents, herself and predecessors, who had the foresight and insight to incorporate high school students into college classes while in high school. Dr. Post has led her outstanding board of directors, Technical College Foundation trustees, college administrators, college faculty here at CEC and elsewhere to continue to use CEC as a place for innovation. Among other firsts, Dr. Post and West Georgia Tech lead all our 22 technical colleges in the enrollment of accelerated career students. As an aside, Dr. Post's doctoral dissertation was named Outstanding Dissertation of the Year by the University Council on Workforce and Human Resource Education. Her work is titled The Role of Dual Enrollment in the Educational Achievement of Technical College Students. Carol Harless, a sculptor known across America, was the wife and business partner of Dr. Joe Harless. She and Joe supported so many outstanding opportunities here in Coweta County. Among them, Carol supported Joe in his work to lead the steering committee that developed CEC. Joe, known around the world for his work to lead the field of human performance technology, was also specifically known for his work to help create CEC. The Joe Harless Georgia College and Career Academy certification process was so named by the Board of the Technical College System of Georgia to recognize Joe's work and the work of this community to create CEC. In recent years, Carol supported the work of the Cambridge Center for Behavioral Studies to republish The Eden Conspiracy, Joe's work that contemplated the creation of CEC here in Coweta County. Now, to hear from these panelists, let me ask Mr. Greg Wright to come to the lectern. It's a pleasure to welcome Greg.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. 25 years ago, our community recognized the world of work was changing. Business leaders told us that mechanization and automation were transforming industries, and we needed a different kind of talent to keep up. In response, a group of innovative community champions was organized to address the changing landscape head-on. When the business community, through the Chamber of Commerce, was surveyed during a needs assessment process, the response rate was double what was expected, a clear signal that Coweta County was ready to take bold action. And so, before most communities even began thinking about how to prepare their workforce for the future, Central Educational Center was born, a true partnership between business, industry, education, and government. From the very beginning, local companies said, we need a different work ethic for the changing business environment, and that's exactly what CEC has delivered. Today, more than 250 employer sites and 600 CEC team members participate each year in work-based learning through internships and apprenticeships that connect education directly to the workforce. Employers consistently rate over 95% of CEC team members as perfect in meeting or exceeding every work ethic trait. But CEC's innovation didn't stop there. By listening to employers and working with partners like Georgia Tech's Manufacturing Extension Partnership, CEC helped create the nation's first German-certified advanced manufacturing technician apprenticeship program, starting right here in Coweta County and starting for students at the age of 15. And when Georgia sought new ways to help young people earn high wages without the burden of college debt, it was CEC that helped shape the Accelerated Career Diploma Program, now being used all across the state. So today, as we celebrate 25 years of innovation, we honor not only this school, but a community that had the courage to imagine something new and the persistence to make it real. Here's to the next 25 years of innovation, opportunity, and shared success right here at Central Educational Center. At this time, it is my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce Leah Sumner. Back when CEC was being created, Leah served on the Chamber's Board of Directors and also served as chair of the Chamber's Education Committee and was one of the driving forces to ensure the Chamber's involvement in this project. Leah?
Good afternoon. On June 2nd, year 2000, my husband, Mike Sumner, was chairman of the Coweta County Board of Education, and he stood very near the spot where we are today. And he welcomed to the meeting and the group Governor Roy Barnes, Speaker Tom Murphy, Congressman Matt Collins, and many of you to the groundbreaking ceremony for this Central Educational Center. Mike began his welcome with the following quote from Julius Caesar. "There is a tide in the affairs of men, which taken at the flood leads us on to fortune. When omitted, all the voyages of our lives are bound in shallows and miseries. On such a full sea, we are now afloat, and we must take the current when it serves, or we will lose our ventures." Shakespeare's words reminded us that day that there are critical moments in life where we as people must act decisively in order to achieve our goals and our successes. If we miss the opportune tide, our efforts will be bound in miseries and in shallows. Today, we are celebrating and we're recognizing the foresight, hard work, dedicated work of many of you and other people since then of 25 years who we have seized that opportune tide. We've carried it forward and we've led on to countless students' successes in life. There's a little bit of history which I was asked to share. In 1996, the Coweta County Board of Education faced the reality that over 60% of our high school students did not enroll in a university or college. And out of those who did, almost 1/3 did not graduate from the College of University. At that time, the county's third public high school, Northgate, had opened, and the board was faced with the cost of funding technology classrooms in each of 3 high schools amidst already strained financial resources. Then Superintendent Brooks had a vision about Coweta County and how we could enhance our technology instruction, as well as maximizing our resources. I well remember a cold, wet New Year's Day when the concept of Central Educational Center was first shared with a small group of people. From that day, the vision began to take shape. The taxpayers of Coweta County embraced the concept by supporting the SPLOST referendum. The business community, led by our chamber and then President Greg Wright, began assisting in formulating curriculum and instructional methods to be implemented here at CEC. The Central Steering Committee was formed, and for 3 years, that committee toiled tirelessly behind the scenes to ensure success. Under the Steering Committee's guidance, the school system and staff, along with Carroll Tech staff, met and began to brainstorm how this joint venture might allow our high school students to share teachers and other instructional resources at this new facility. Janet Ayers and Richard Brooks encouraged their respective boards to think outside of the box and explore a new, unique opportunity where students could literally walk across the hallway and have post-secondary education and training. Under the leadership of Dr. Joe Harless, chairman of the steering committee, the phrase seamless education began to catch hold. With the vision of our superintendent and the school board, the confidence of the community, the guidance of local business leaders, and our evolving partnership with Carroll Tech, we became assured that Coweta County would have a campus to facilitate seamless education between our high school students and technology learning. But the project was limited somewhat by the state of this physical structure on this campus that was being proposed as the home of CEC. However, in 1998, something extraordinary happened. Roy Barnes was elected as governor of Georgia. Governor Barnes had made a campaign promise that he began to immediately fulfill, and he was going to shake up education in Georgia with the battle cry of systematic educational reform legislation. He also wisely and providentially appointed one of our own school board members, Smith Pass, to his statewide talent-laden reform committee. Smith worked countless hours with state educational leaders, and you cannot imagine how valuable she was to this particular project. Governor Barnes met with the Central Steering Committee, along with the assistance of then Congressman Collins and State Representative Lynn Smith, and he too soon became convinced that we had a need and a unique idea for this seamless education. But the catch was, it was not only for the people of Coweta County. He wanted to use it for a statewide model. Governor Barnes put the CEC project into his supplemental budget proposal. So with the support of Speaker Murphy and some assistance of both overt and covert Coweta County Capitol insiders, the CEC project survived the legislative session, including Governor Barnes' $7 million earmarked for the renovation and construction of this facility. Make no mistake, Governor Barnes' personal support for this project made it a reality. We were privileged to have Governor Barnes 25 years ago to help us break ground for it. We're privileged to have him back to celebrate the success and to help us as we remember our commitment and the exercise of trust and forethought that was found. In Mike's concluding remarks at his groundbreaking speech, he referenced the final scene of the movie The Candidate, starring Robert Redford, who was a political neophyte running for the United States Senate. After an amazing, upset election, Redford runs off the Victory platform into a nearby auditorium tunnel, and he finds the nearest phone booth, no cell phones then, and he jumps into the phone booth and he calls his campaign manager and he says, "Okay, we won. What the heck do I do now?" Well, to Governor Barnes and to each of you today, unlike the candidate portrayed by Robert Redford, the people of Coweta County, we knew what to do, and we did it. We seized the current. We fulfilled the vision. We created not only a unique educational opportunity for our students in our community, but a unique educational model replicated not only in our state, but in our country and around the world. And today, we are here to thank each of you, whether you were a student, whether you were an educator, whether you were a business leader or volunteer, because each of you are who helped make and create the success of CEC. Governor Barnes, thank you for being back with us.
Well, the first thing that I want to say is they told me it was only going to cost $5 million. Well, there's a little inflation in there, great inflation, and a little inflation in the cost. It is so good to be here once again and to see this wonderful institution that has blossomed so much and has become the example of seamless education everywhere. You know, Smith passed, when she talked to me about this project, I said, I'm interested in it. I said, because it is the way of the new education, the seamless education. And this has been such a success, and a success not only in the state of Georgia, but in the nation, and I would dare say in the world. You've heard all the statistics that have been given about the number of students that have been served, about how the work ethic is the highest there is, which is unusual in this day and time, as many business folks will tell you. There was a time 25 years ago when everybody was uniform on both sides of the aisle, whether you were Democrat or Republican, that education was the most important priority of the state of Georgia. And the reason is, just as Leah, and quoting Mike some years ago, has pointed out, not all kids, not all students are the same. And unless we allow for a choice and also a workforce, we're not going to be successful. Unfortunately, I don't hear education mentioned much now in campaigns. All I hear is about issues that really do not affect us on a day-by-day basis. But this institution, this example, this way to make sure that business and the community and the educational institutions are all involved in one type and in one goal of providing a better educated workforce, but also giving the opportunity for those that want to go to college and to get college credit. I kept up with Central after we funded and opened. One of the things that amazed me in the early days, it was thought that students would come 15, 16 years old and that they could get credit both in the technical college system and, of course, toward their graduation from high school. And it was thought it would be students that would be learning trades, and there would be students that were interested in providing the educated and trained workforce. One of the things I remember from those early years after Central opened was that you had as many or a good number of students who were college bound but wanted to get a jump on their college education. Graphic design, computer coding, other technical fields that they saw was going to help them in the university system or wherever they went to college. So it provided hope, not only for the college, but it fed the need of a trained workforce. Now, let me suggest to you over the next 25 years. What has begun here will only accelerate. The greatest need that we have is for trained workers. You know, when I was governor, everybody says, well, when you're trying to bring business in, don't you have a conversation about what kind of tax breaks they're going to get? And I said, that is the last thing they ever talk about. The very first thing they say is, if I locate this plant and make this capital investment, how can I be assured that I will have the workers trained to operate and to maintain the businesses that we do and that we're manufacturing? Let's face it, everything today has a technology base. And a few years ago, that was unheard of. When I was a kid growing up in Mableton, Georgia, there was a thread mill in Clarkdale, Coates and Clark. Some of you older folks will remember it. Coates and Clark was the largest maker of thread in the world. And you graduated from South Cobb High School, and you either did one or two things. You went into the military, or you went to work at the thread mill. There are no more thread mills in Georgia. There are no more thread mills in this nation, and there's not going to be unless it is operated at high productivity and high efficiency through AI, which is coming, and through computer and technology, which requires a skilled workforce. So let's face it, we have to have a better skilled workforce. Even the trades have gone by. Carpenters, plumbers. You know, there's an old story that is told around courthouses. It says that this lawyer, his wife, when he went home, and his wife says, the commode has flooded. And says, I've called the plumber. The plumber came, and it was really a minor issue, and he put a valve in and fixed it, and he told the lawyer, he says, that'll be $350. He says, $350? He says, that's more than I make as a lawyer. And the plumber says, yeah, it was more than I made when I was practicing law, too. Though the demand that we have for those trained workers, whatever they are, is going to call upon CEC and others like it. I've looked at the others that have 49 that have been replicated, and there's a wide difference in quality. And the reason there's a wide difference in quality is they don't have the support of the community like CEC does. They don't have folks that are willing to dedicate tax funds to make sure that a facility like this is of the highest quality. So I'll leave you with this. Your day in the sun has only begun, because we have to have you if we are to be able to be a prosperous state, and if we're going to be able to continue to grow. keep showing the rest of the state what can be done if everybody, regardless of party or favor or affection, if everybody works together. Thank you, and God bless you all.
Governor Barnes, thank you so much. What a pleasure to have you here. I want to welcome to the lectern State Representative Lynn Smith.
So I can't see any of y'all, but anyway, good afternoon. First of all, Governor Barnes is an inspiring speaker, and you can feel it in the room. I did in the General Assembly. And the ones who spoke on this platform, and every one of you in this room, I know that our common vision is the best education possible. And even at our age, some of us need some new technology help as well. So we really appreciate the fact that adults can be in the classroom too. But before I begin my talk, I want to just take a moment and tell you that part of what I'm going to do is more like being a little infantry soldier in the foxhole, because I was the one who started with 5 million, and thank heavens it got to 7 million. Also, to Toby out here, Toby, I decided to use my 80-year-old brain instead of artificial intelligence to do this little talk this afternoon. So if it needs any editing or corrections, please later do that. But yes, things have changed. But the desire to do what we do in this community is something I think everybody I know admires and wish they could duplicate. So when I give this little talk here, I want to tell the students who are listening, I am paraphrasing a phrase in history. And to the people who follow any kind of musicals or anything like that, I am making a couple of cultural references as well. So I begin this way. 105 years ago, Coweta County forefathers and mothers brought forth a new educational concept in learning to meet the needs of business, industry, and the needs of our high school graduates seeking gainful employment. Our visionaries were mentioned or are on this stage with me today. As we moved along, this concept and this approach we're taking has been explained, and it has been eloquently explained. So as I said in the beginning, my presentation will be on what it's like to be in a foxhole fighting for state funds to implement the revolutionary concept. The budget request, I put down 7 million, but the budget request was for 5 million. If you want to put it in our terms today, that's 15 million, just so you know how bullish we were here in Coweta County to seek that money. So anyway, it's always a challenge for any legislator to have a local budget request made and to make it through the budget process. I was a new Republican. I was a minority representative, and I was making that request. Everybody was second guessing if I could do that, including myself. But thanks to a Democratic General Assembly, a governor who was open to these ideas, it was a process that did happen. But thanks to this effort and the in-depth, and this I really want to emphasize here because you hear big names in something like this, but this whole effort was the effort of teachers. It was the efforts of two totally different school systems talking together to meet this need. It was an impossibility. And as this project made its way through the House side where I am, it was in the budget, which is number one. That's what you want. But also what happens is any legislator worth their salt see that pot of money and they want it. And move out of the way, little missy, we're going to get that money. And we got this on our side and we got that on our side. And so I kept referring back to the leadership in our community. And Speaker Murphy, the wily, wonderful leader he was, let that process take place. In other words, I was watching everything we were working for disappear. It still was in the budget, but our name wasn't anywhere near it. But as the time went on and that annual convening of our assembly was coming to a close, things started to happen. Speaker Murphy was letting the powerful people in the room try and replicate what y'all had done. They tried to come up with ways to say and prove to the governor, we can do this. But nobody could get along. Nobody could talk. Nobody could figure it out. You're not getting my money. I want that money. I'm head of this and head of that, and who's she? And so what happened, though, is as it was getting close, and I was having to report to Governor Barnes. I don't know if you remember that. Where are we on this project? And so I would go in and say, well, it's moving along, but I'm not doing too good at this. But as we kept getting closer, it did focus back to Coweta County and to what we had done. And so in one of my reports to the governor, I said, Governor, we're almost there. I mean, I think we might get the votes. It might stay in the budget. But there are like 3 big problems we have yet to solve. What? So I said, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know how we solve it, but here are our problems. One of them was we had 2 separate avenues of money for our schools and our school systems. Technical colleges fought it out in the general pot at the state level. We, citizens of Coweta County, had to use our taxes plus funding from the state. Try and make those 2 different ways work was a very difficult thing to do. It wasn't that anybody didn't want the concept, it was how now? How do we do this? We're on board with doing it, but how do we do it? And then the second thing that became a problem was called scheduling. Technical colleges met at different times than our high school and school systems met. How are we going to do that? The only good thing about this at that point in time is we were getting near it, so I was excited about that. But the third thing, and this is the scary part for everybody, adults are going to be in the classroom with our high school students. That can't happen, y'all. That can't happen. And so when I reported that to the governor, he said, I want you to get every decision maker. I don't want their staff. I want their decision makers in room with me. We're going to meet. So I named this part of this brief recounting the room where it happened, y'all. This is the room where it happened. And it was. It really was. And it was not easily solved, but a little thing had happened. We'd gone to charter schools. That was one of our debates. Ooh, what a nasty subject that was. But we had a category in there for our public school systems to make the decision to form their own charter schools. And Governor, that's what you did, and that's where it happened. It wasn't easy, but it was working, y'all, and it was a wonderful, wonderful feeling. So today, we are celebrating 25 years, and we can all proudly say the room where it happened is now the rooms where it's happening. We're getting there. We don't have the silos. The governor hated the silos, I can tell you. I remember it more than he does probably, but we had these different silos of education. Nobody could communicate to anybody. Employers said, we can't hire them. What are y'all doing? So it came together, and it was, y'all, it was such a wonderfully proud moment. But nobody in this room, back then and even now, nobody's paused to say, what have we done? You're challenging yourself with what can we do next? And I go back to the fact, if the governor had not wanted this, was not already committed to this concept, I don't even think anybody in our state would be having this conversation. And so, Governor, I thank you so much for your leadership then. And I want to thank all the governors who followed, Perdue, Deal, Kemp. They too are embracing this concept, and it is an ownership now. And even somebody like me can go learn a little bit more about artificial intelligence. I mean, there are opportunities out there for all our ages. This steady leadership is something that I think will always continue to be. But for us here, when we think about the room where it happened, and then we think about the rooms where it's happening, all I can say to the governor and to all of this in this room, very shortly, it's just going to be happening, and it won't be in a room. So, thank you.
Thank you, Lawson. To our panelists, we've got a couple of questions. You've been challenged by what you heard today, but you've been challenged for 25 years to make this work. Candace, let's start with you. What has CEC meant to the chamber? What were the challenges and the opportunities?
So I'm going to start with alignment. I think that probably one of the biggest outcomes of CEC has given an opportunity for industry and education to collaborate. I'm looking out here at David Keller and Phil Turkey and Scott Chahalis, who represent three of our largest industries in Coweta. So it also helped create connections, and I'm not sure leaders like this would have had the opportunity to work at the level they have worked to impact students and the community if we didn't have this model for them to work around. And then innovation. I think innovation is what CEC represents, Coweta represents. So it's we're a different community because we've had this.
Great. Dr. Evan Horton, what has CEC meant to the Coweta County school system, challenges and opportunities?
Well, Mark, whenever I think of the CEC, the first thing I think of, what an incredible vision by people like Richard Brooks, Mike Sumner, Smith Pass. They were dedicated to something that was incredibly courageous, and that partnership was born. In CEC and the school system, we're seamless. We stand together. On behalf of the tens of thousands of students in our community that have come through Central Educational Center, that have been provided opportunities to do what they choose to do, whatever that is, whether they want to become a teacher, whether they want to become an HVAC technician, whether they want to dual enroll and earn college credit. That vision, that courage led to a tremendous opportunity and continues to do that today. So when I think of the last 25 years, it's just blown away. I hope that our governance team will be looked back on 25 years from now and regarded as having the same courage and vision and making the same difference for our students that's been made through the efforts of the Central Educational Center.
Great. Dr. Julie Post, what has CEC meant to West Georgia Technical College, challenges and opportunities?
So first, I'm going to say that, I wasn't here 25 years ago, but I am incredibly honored that I'm here today to celebrate 25 years. And as was mentioned, one of the first people I was told to contact when I was working on my dissertation was Mark Whitlock and the CEC. And I didn't even live in this county, and I'd only been in Georgia a short period of time. So that right there, I think, for the community means placemaking. It has created something in Noonan and Coweta County that it is known for. And for West Georgia Tech, who was Carroll Tech at the time and then became West Central Tech and is now West Georgia Tech, and covers 7 counties, this is a pillar. This is a pillar of success. And it was the first opportunity for West Georgia Tech to actually have a place in Coweta County. So I think historically for the college, it's been about placemaking and about partnerships and collaboration.
Great. Let's take the challenge. Let's take up the challenge to look ahead 25 years. What's CEC going to mean to the chamber in the next 25 years?
So if you look at your program, it says a story with no end. And for those of you that know Mark or Dr. Harless, you know that this facility was built on the ADDIE process. Anybody want to say it with me? Analyze, design, develop, implement,
and
evaluate. A few years ago, Mark added another A, and it became Ant Addie. You want to tell everybody what that is?
That was Dr. Harless who added Aunt Addie, and that was about making sure that everyone was at the table before you started the analysis.
Yeah, so if I were to project out 25 years, I would say that we are still using the ADDIE process because it's proven, it's continual improvement, and we will still be embracing innovation. So much will have changed, but I think our industries will still be collaborating. I think that CEC and the school system will still be responsive to what industry needs are, and that we will continue just to analyze, design, develop, implement, evaluate, and move forward because that's what we do. But before I move on, I just want to say one thing. We need to thank Mark.
Dr. Horton, what's CEC going to mean to the Coweta County school system in the next 25 years, notwithstanding that it already means we're going to start construction?
We started last week, didn't we?
We did. We did.
You know, it's hard to imagine CEC meaning more to the school system than it already does. I mean, you use the word pillar. CEC is a pillar of this school system, this community. I think when you look out 25 years, though, we have a tremendous opportunity in our school system to continue to build upon that legacy I mentioned earlier, but to seize the opportunity each and every day to listen to business and industry, to listen to our community, to try to exceed their expectations each and every day, and to be consumed with the question you and I ask each other a lot: what's next? I think if we do that, if we're consumed with that question, we will continue and consumed with meeting the expectations of this community and listening to the needs of our local business and industry. I feel very strongly that we will continue to provide every opportunity every day for each and every student to be successful, and for this community to continue to be the wonderful place that it is. Not because of the CEC, but because the CEC is doing great work, along with business and industry and government.
Thank you. Dr. Julie Post, what will CEC mean for West Georgia Tech for the next 25 years?
So the mission of any technical college, but obviously specifically West Georgia Tech, is workforce development. I mean, that's the bottom line, right? So we take what our industries need and pull in our students and train them to be, our product for our customers, the industries. By having something such an amazing opportunity as the Central Education Center, we're doing that quicker, we're doing that faster, and it allows the college to continue to pivot to meet the needs of the industries in this community. And those parts that work together are what make economic prosperity in Coweta County. So I continue to see the CEC as being a pillar, like I said, that it was in setting the stage as placemaking for career academies in general, and making a place for the community, but it's certainly going to be a pillar of success for the economy in this county.
Thank you. Thank you. I think of the chamber representing the business community, the school system, and West Georgia Tech as being the three founding partners of what we're doing. This really is a joint venture. Couldn't do it without your leadership. Help me thank our panelists. It's a pleasure to welcome Carol Harless to the lectern. Carol.
I'm just overwhelmed by all of your success. Congratulations to all of you in this room. What an accomplishment. 25 years of educational reform. And I'm very pleased that Joe's part in this is being remembered. My son and I, Lee Harless, we're both very pleased. And Mark Whitlock and I will be unveiling a bas-relief sculpture of Joe at the conclusion of these remarks. Joe's passion was education. From the very first I knew him, he was asking people in all situations, even social situations, what is the purpose of education? Throughout his career, consulting with business, government, industry, and the military, he could see how the advances in his field would apply to education. But the time wasn't right. At the time of Joe's retirement, he wanted to involve the public in educational reform and present a new approach for devising a school curriculum. Joe was completing the publishing of the book, The Eden Conspiracy, Educating for Accomplished Citizenship, and the audience was the general public. During this time, Richard Brooks, then superintendent of Coweta County Schools, provided an opportunity for Joe to volunteer as a consultant to the school system. It was the right time and the right place. Joe's expansive methodology for deriving an accomplishment-based curriculum from community needs was embraced by everyone, as you can tell. I mean, it's just incredible how all of you have come together. And Joe's experiences with the establishment of CEC are described by him in the first printing of the Eden Conspiracy. The second printing has an epilogue which describes the first 16 years of CEC accomplishments, lauds Mark Whitlock, and invites visitors to CEC. The introduction and epilogue of the second printing were written by Dr. Carl Binder. He was an esteemed colleague of Joe's. Carl visited CEC and as a trustee of the Cambridge Center for Behavioral Studies, was instrumental in getting the Cambridge Center to publish Eden. He recognized the book as a classic. Joe's family, friends, and colleagues were touched by the honor bestowed on Joe when the state of Georgia's legislation for establishing college and career academies was named for him. We were further moved when Jenny Williams, who was then director of college and career transitions, wanted to give face to the legislation that bears his name. It was her intention that certified schools would display their certification and a bust of Joe Harless. Well, I knew that Joe Harless would not want a life-size bust of himself. Joe was very supportive of my career, my second career, as a sculptor, but he was fierce in saying, "I do not want to be one of Carol's models." Though flattered at being asked to do the sculpture, I declined and said I would find photos for another sculptor to work from. I did not want to go against his wishes. As I searched through the photos, I was reminded of a gesture of Joe's, which symbolizes and embodies thought. Joe was known in his field as an analyst and a thought leader. I was inspired to do a modest bas-relief and not a life-size bust. I felt I would be forgiven for having done the bas-relief, which is neither pure sculpture nor drawing. In the relief, Joe is in a contemplative gesture, hand on chin, eyes gazing downward, considering the full parameters of his remarks. Joe always took the full measure of everything against criteria before answering a question. I think the thoughtful moment on the sculpture captures him best. And I think you'd probably like to see it now instead of hearing me talk about it. So Mark, if you'll help me.
Carol, thank you so much. That's incredible. That's incredible. Toby Hughes, you've got to catch a plane back to Dallas. Before you go, I want you to close us out. Come up to the front if you would. Toby was from our first graduating class in 2001. And as I recalled in remarks, Toby spoke before Governor Barnes did and said he wanted something uniquely different for his senior year that could launch his career. Governor Barnes said, I hope you find it in this school, and I think you can. Toby, welcome. Talk with us, if you would, about what teachers meant to you here at CEC. They are the reason that students succeed here.
Just to let you know how great of a friend and mentor Mark Whitlock is to me, I walked up and said, hello, Mark, great to see you. He's like, hey, just to let you know, I'm bringing you on at the end of the talk. So Lynn, I didn't get to use AI to write this either, so I might nudge you to help. But no, in all honesty, education plants the seeds, but quality educators, they're the ones that ensure that it takes root. And if you look at the tagline of CEC, of it being education outside of the box, more importantly, the educators and the leaders in this room, they shatter the box that's placed around each one of these students when they walk in. Whether that's the socioeconomic upbringing, whether it's the generational paradigms that they've been, that have been imposed on them with their family, or any other type of stereotype, the ability to shatter those boxes. I just challenge and encourage each one of you. I look at faces like Andy Perriam and Janie Lohr, the ones that, I get emotional, I apologize. I just challenge each one of you to not view students as, a common misconception is that a student or a child is an empty vessel looking to be filled. But I would challenge you to look at them as a vessel that's full of potential that often needs just a single spark to ignite. And so I'm extremely, extremely thankful. A couple months ago, I have a 16-year-old daughter, a 14-year-old son, and a 6-year-old daughter, and the most amazing saintly wife on earth. She has to put up with me. So, but my son, he was walking through the house, and I looked, and he had 2 books. He had the Bible, and he had a book called The Millionaire Mind. And I stopped him, and I said, son, you don't realize it, but those are the 2 most important and valuable books that I have on this earth. And I said, open up that Millionaire Mind book. And he got to see this inscription that Mark Whitlock gave me when I was 18 years old. And, I'm blessed to be here with my sister today, and just to be a little bit personal. My father's a pastor, and he always put the importance on the spiritual riches of this world or of this life, and what's beyond, and that was the emphasis. And so one of the things that I say is that we grew up financially. The world would consider us poor, and I always say that growing up, our family. We owned very little, but we possessed everything, right? And so what this does is when you can spark into a child that there is an opportunity for you to add value and to develop a marketable skill that you can then build upon and view education as a lifelong pursuit, really the opportunities are endless. And I couldn't be more thankful for the experience here at CEC, but more importantly, the people that have poured into me along the way.
Well, you can't top that. Thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for all that you have done. Here's to the next 25 years. Have a great evening.